The mystery behind Momoshiki's awaited emergence has fans everywhere wondering what exactly happened to him. Many believe he's just been put on the back burners for now, and some believe Boruto took care of him somehow. But there's obviously a reason we haven't seen him yet in Boruto TBV VORTEX. But I'm here to tell you, he's very much alive and plotting his next move on Boruto to finally take over his body. Since we know ever since he was forced to revive Boruto in chapter 67, he's lost his primary method of resurrection by having the karma override Boruto's data with his own, like in Jigen's case. This was a major setback in Momoshiki's plan because it made it basically impossible for him to fully resurrect through Boruto's body, while at the same time granting Boruto all of Momoshiki's innate skills and abilities, while him still being able to hold his own consciousness in full control of his body. So Boruto is 100% OTSUTSUKI, but he is still himself. But what people fail to understand, and I've been meaning to explain this on my channel, I just hadn't had the opportunity to do so. But even though Momoshiki cannot permanently take over Boruto's body anymore, he still exists in his conscience. All the time we see Boruto converse with Momoshiki is proof that his soul still lives within Boruto. And Momoshiki's second plan to take over Boruto's body by having him lose faith and willingly give up his body to him is proof that Boruto can lose ownership of his body if he chooses to do so. So the notion that Momoshiki can't just take over Boruto's body anymore is just not true at all. The situation really reminds me of the relationship between Sukuna and Megumi in JJK. I'm gonna keep the JJK spoilers to a minimum, so I won't dive too deep into that one, but my real ones know exactly what I'm trying to say here. But back on topic, Momoshiki can still take over Boruto's body, but it will only be temporary, and certain conditions have to be met for that to happen. Either Boruto has to be knocked unconscious by an enemy, unable to wake up on his own, because if I say Momoshiki can take over his body while he's just sleeping, then it wouldn't make much sense narratively. But we know Boruto slept without Momoshiki taking over him before, even after he was revived, so that would just be incorrect. However, the second option is Boruto must be low or completely out of chakra. This creates an opening for Momoshiki's soul to temporarily take over Boruto's body. We've seen it every time Boruto lost control of his psyche. In the Boro fight, when he was drained of his chakra and knocked unconscious, his chakra was drained so much, Momoshiki had to borrow some of Naruto's BIJUU chakra to get rid of Boro. And the second time, I'm pretty sure everyone knows, is right after the Ishiki fight when he destroyed Sasuke's Rinnegan. And yes, you guessed it, he was also unconscious and drained of his chakra. The only exception is during his fight with Code when Momoshiki forcefully took over Boruto's body, but that occurred before karma extraction was complete and Boruto became a pure genuine Otsutsuki himself. I believe since the Otsutsukification process is now complete, I don't think Momoshiki can just take over his body that easily anymore, especially if Boruto isn't already using the power of the Karma Seal in battle. So there are conditions or certain situations that have to be manifested so Momoshiki can take over his body. If these conditions aren't met, Momoshiki can possibly still temporarily take over Boruto's body, like in chapter 78 when Momoshiki allowed KAWAKI to escape Konoha, but as you can see, he could only hold possession for about a minute. And this was right after Boruto was majorly injured by KAWAKI, by the way. So even that didn't give him much time to really do anything. So if Boruto is injured, that does create a small opening for Momoshiki. The more conditions that are met, the more time Boruto's body can be in Momoshiki's possession. In chapter 8, we see Boruto talking about the Shinju with Shikamaru, and he mentions the possibility of him or KAWAKI being devoured, and what that means for not only everyone on Earth, but the Earth itself. You see, the problem here is not the planet's demise per se, but how it affects someone like Momoshiki, who is actively trying to execute his own plan throughout all of this commotion. It's no secret that the loss of Momoshiki's vessel will result in the immediate extinguishment of his soul. Boruto now serves as his one and only anchor to the world of the living. This is why he was so dead set on getting rid of Code, and the other members of Kara as well. Their plans did not align with Momoshiki's. He wanted the chakra fruit for himself, which is exactly why he came to Earth with Kinshiki. Kinshiki was supposed to be the necessary sacrifice that would give Momoshiki the chakra fruit. And since he implanted the karma onto Boruto, it's always been his desire to live on through Boruto, and claim the chakra fruit that Earth will produce for himself. Even though he cannot resurrect, he relied on this prophecy of him losing everything to make him lose his will to live and relinquish his body. And until then, he wouldn't let anything happen to Boruto, because in Momoshiki's eyes, he belongs to him. Nobody can have him. So with us having this knowledge, I would say it's expected that Momoshiki would want to protect Boruto from any potential danger he faces in the near future. From my last video, I explained the possibility of a potential Boruto versus the Shinju scenario in chapter 9 or chapter 10, either one of those two. But I explained Boruto and the Shinju and the different ways Konoha could come out on top in his upcoming battle, or at least pressure them enough to make them retreat. And through a quick brainstorming session, I believe I came up with a solid way for exactly that to happen. So in a way, you could think of this video as a part 2 to the video I initially made. And if you want to watch for yourself to just get an idea of what I think will happen, then click the video in the top right that should be there right about now. But as much as I think that is going to manifest, I also think there is a possibility where we see Momoshiki make his 2 Blue Vortex debut very soon if things get out of hand. You see, there is 2 possible reasons Momoshiki might emerge soon. One reason is if Boruto is extremely injured in his fight against the Shinju. Most likely it'll be Jura that inflicts that much injury on him to make Momoshiki emerge in the first place. And the second reason would be if he was in danger of being devoured. The only reason I say this is because in chapter 5, we learn about the Shinju and their identity as a whole. From what we learned, we can come to the conclusion that at the moment, they seem to be more interested in their specific targets than just devouring Boruto and Kawaki as Otsutsuki. Doing so would immediately finish their evolution process, thus destroying the planet. Now, this doesn't really put guys like Boruto in a dire situation, because if worse comes to worse, he can survive in outer space. But the problem is him putting himself in harm's way to prevent this very thing from happening, which would end with him directly confronting the Shinju in an all-out battle. I already mentioned the conditions that will have to be met for Momoshiki to take over Boruto's body. If during the fight Boruto is knocked unconscious or inconveniently drained of all his chakra, which would make it nearly impossible for him to hold Momoshiki's consciousness back at that point, Momoshiki can possibly and will most likely use that opening as an opportunity to try and take out the Shinju himself. I understand the notion that Momoshiki just can't hold up against the villains of today, and I'm not saying everyone believes this, but there are some people out there who believe because of how Momoshiki was unalived and him being weaker than Boruto is right now, he's just not that strong. And I'm here to tell you right now, that just isn't true at all. You will have to realize an Otsutsuki is only as strong as its vessel, which is why Ishiki couldn't access 100% of his strength inside Jigen because his body couldn't hold up, which made his vessel incompetent. Boruto being the ideal vessel for Momoshiki not only means his body can withstand 100% of Momoshiki's power and abilities, but because of how strong Boruto is in base, it would just make Borushiki that much stronger compared to how he was in part 1. Even Code commented how Borushiki's destructive power was on a whole nother level compared to Boruto's Karma V1 state. If the amp is linear like I believe, then it should make Borushiki damn near unbeatable, which could also be a reason why the Shinju retreat from Konoha as well. Let's put this in video game reference. Let's say Boruto's base strength is level 50, but when he activates the Karma, it offers a ×5 multiplier to his base, which would give him a power level of 250. However, his Karma's second state would offer a 100 times multiplier. This would leave Boruto at a power level of 5,000, starting from his base. This means hypothetically, if Boruto's base strength in 2 Blue Vortex is around 300, and the multiplier stays the same, he should be around the 30,000 power level in his Karma V2 state. The imp could be more or less than what I just said, but just for the pure sake of giving an example, I'll just say that for now. But back to my main point, this is still a very dangerous direction for Boruto to take. If that was the case, Momoshiki's plan is still in full effect. He wants to destroy everything that Boruto wishes to protect and save. I'm pretty sure all Momoshiki wants to do right now is sabotage all of his plans to make him give up on living. So even if he does make the Shinju retreat, if Boruto doesn't take back control of his body in time, Momoshiki could do irreversible damage to not only Konoha in the process, but his dear friends as well, including the people he was initially trying to protect in Sarada and Himawari. So even though, yes, Momoshiki and Boruto's body would now be leagues stronger and probably save the day like everyone wants, nobody would be able to even come close to stopping his rampage. So you can kind of see now why Boruto doesn't like to rely on the power of the karma anymore like he used to, and seems to have that hesitation when it comes to using the karma, even for situations that may call for it. It's just too risky, especially now with all of his newfound powers and abilities. But let me know what you think about this situation down below in the comment section. Do you think Boruto will succeed in temporarily ridding Konoha of the Shinju? Or will he succumb to Momoshiki's soul and put his village and friends in danger of potentially being unalived by his own hands? Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like this in the near future. And if you want to react to chapter 9 live with me, then make sure you tune into the live stream later this month for that, because it's gonna be lit. But without further ado, I'll see y'all in my next video, and I'm out. Peace.